this is Monikeee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And for today's vlog, I am still here in beautiful Paris. And today we are visiting the Basilica of Sacré-Cœur de Montmartre, commonly known as the Sacré-Cœur Basilica. It is a Roman Catholic church and minor basilica in Paris, dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and it was formally approved as a National Historic Monument by the National Commission of Patrimony and Architecture on December 8, 2022. The Sacré-Cœur, consecrated in 1919, is one of the most iconic monuments here in Paris. It is at the top of the Butte Montmartre, and it has one of the most beautiful panoramic views of the capital from 130 meters above ground. After all of that cat, of course, I got hungry, so we're in La Malais and I'm having a salmon. At this point, I'm so hungry, so I got rice as well. And of course, I wouldn't miss a glass of wine in beautiful Paris. And at this point, I'm heading out to Trocadero to see the Eiffel Tower. Lakad-lakad lang kami dito, guys, sa Paris. Naka 10,000 steps ata ako in a day. But who cares? This is Paris. Also, you should try to visit cafes and people watch and parang wala kang ginagawa, char. And this is the beautiful view of the Eiffel Tower. Yes, guys, medyo crowded lang siya. Medyo lang ba? Char. Crowded siya. You see a lot of people, Asians, Filipinos, but who cares? This is Paris. Everybody's here. And yes, guys, we're going to Arc de Triomphe. Just a picture lang. And the sun is beautifully out today, and look at that view. You're see Arc de Triomphe, and we crossed the street and we went to Champs-Élysées. May pa-party pa dito while we were here, and there's just a huge crowd, and it's just so nice. Even at night, tingnan nyo naman. Yan. Wis buhay yan actually, guys, kasi tawid-tawid kami dyan. Anyways, heading back to my hotel, and I will be ready for another activity tomorrow. So it's another day, another gallivanting with Monikeee, and of course I'm bringing you with me. And today is my last day here in Paris. I will definitely be back soon. So we're heading to Palace of Versailles. At this point, guys, I can confidently say that I have mastered the train system in Paris. Kasi gala lang ako ng gala. Jump from one train to another. To those who plan on doing solo traveling, it's safe, just be cautious. And of course, it's also fun to get lost sometimes. Diba, char? My lovies, so we're here at the Palace of Versailles, or it is also called the Chateau de Versailles. It is a former royal residence commissioned by King Louis XIV, located here in Versailles. It is about 19 kilometers west of Paris, France. The palace is owned by the French Republic and since 1995 has been managed under the direction of the French Ministry of Culture by the public establishment of the palace. The Museum and National Estate of Versailles, it's about 15 million people visit the Palace Park or Gardens of Versailles every year, making it one of the most popular tourist attractions in the world. Louis XIII built a simple hunting lodge on the site of the Palace of Versailles in 1623. With his death came Louis XIV, who expanded the chateau into the beginnings of a palace that went through several changes and phases from 1661 to 1715. And in 1682, Louis XIV moved the seat of his court and government to Versailles, making the palace the de facto capital of France. In 1789, the royal family and capital of France returned to Paris. For the rest of the French Revolution, the Palace of Versailles was largely abandoned and emptied of its contents, and the population of the surrounding city plummeted. The palace and park were designated a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1979 for its importance as the center of power, art, and science in France during the 17th and 18th centuries. Shortly after becoming king in 1830, Louis Philippe I decided to transform the palace into a museum devoted to all the glories of France, with paintings and sculptures depicting famous French victories and heroes. The overthrow of Louis Philippe in 1848 put an end to his grand plans for the museum. But the Gallery of Battles is still as it was, and is passed through by many visitors to the royal apartments and grand salons. Another set of rooms on the first floor has been made into galleries on Louis XIV and his court, displaying furniture, paintings, and sculptures. In recent years, 11 rooms on the ground floor between the chapel and the opera have been turned into a history of the palace. And now I'll show you the royal apartments. The first one here is the Salon of Hercules. It's one of the state apartments of the king. It was originally a chapel and was rebuilt beginning in 1712. Now we are at the Salon of Abundance. This was the antechamber to the Cabinet of Curios, now the games room, which displayed Louis XIV's collection of precious jewels and rare objects. And now we are in the Salon of Venus. This salon was used for serving light meals during evening receptions. The principal feature in this room is John Warren's life-size statue of Louis XIV in the costume of a Roman emperor. Just look at that, guys. This is just where they serve light meals. Wow. And now we are in Salon of Diana. This was used by Louis XIV as a billiards room and had galleries from which courtiers could watch him play. The decoration of the walls depicts scenes from the life of the goddess Diana. The celebrated bust of Louis XIV by Bernini, also made during the famous sculptor's visit to France in 1665, is on display here. And this is the Salon of Mars. This was used by the royal guards until 1782 and was decorated on a military theme with helmets and trophies. It was turned into a concert room between 1684 and 1750, and this is the Salon of Mercury. This was the original state bedchamber when Louis XIV officially moved the court and government to the palace in 1682. This bed is a replica of the original commissioned by King Louis Philippe in the 19th century when he turned the palace into a museum. The ceiling paintings depict the god Mercury in his chariot drawn by a rooster, Alexander the Great and Ptolemy surrounded by scholars and philosophers, and the automation clock was made for the king by the royal clockmaker Antoine Morand in 1706. And this is the Hall of Mirrors. This is a long gallery at the westernmost part of the palace that looks out into the gardens. The hall was built from 1678 to 1681 on the side of a terrace built between the king and queen suites. The hall is clad with marble and decorated in a modified version of the Corinthian order with 578 mirrors facing 17 windows and reflecting the light provided by them. And now we're heading to the private apartments of the Queen. This is a suite of rooms that were reserved for the personal use of the Queen. Originally arranged for the use of Marie Therese, the consort of Louis XIV, and the rooms were later modified for use by Marie Lesinska and finally for Marie Antoinette. The Queen's apartments and the King's apartments were laid out on the same design, each suite having 7 rooms, Both suites had ceilings painted with scenes from mythology, and the king's ceilings featured male figures and the queen's featured females. And we are at the queen's bedchamber. The bedchamber is the most important room in the apartments and is where the queen spent most of her time. It was where she slept, often with the king, and in the morning she received guests here during and after her toilet, which, like the king's getting up ceremony, was a courtly affair controlled by strict etiquette. And now, this is the noble's room. This room was used as a second antechamber. Queen Marie Lisinska held formal audiences here, seated under a canopy, as well as her circle, the name given to the time spent in orderly conversation by the ladies of the court. And we are at the royal table antechamber. Traditionally, public meals at the royal table taken by the king and the royal family were held in the queen's antechamber. This lavish ceremony attracted a large number of curious onlookers. Only the members of the royal family were allowed to dine, while privileged duchesses, princesses, or those holding important positions sat in front of them on stools. Louis XIV adhered strictly to the ceremonial performance almost every evening, whereas Louis XV more often preferred private dinners, and Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette only ate at the royal table once a week. And this is the Queen's guardroom. This is the only room in the apartment in which the 17th century decoration has been fully preserved, since the Queen never spent time here, and there was therefore no need to modernize it. For this reason, it still contains the marble paneling characteristic of the state apartment's original condition. This is the coronation room. In 1833, it became a room devoted to the glory of Napoleon Bonaparte, first consul and then emperor of the French. In the center of the room stands the column from the German campaign, which Napoleon commissioned from the Royal Porcelain Manufactory to commemorate his first imperial victories. And then there's more paintings. Ang dami nilang paintings, guys. Mga ninuno ko. Char. Now we're heading down to see the palace gardens. In Sacré-Cœur Basilica for today's video. Guys, I've said this before. I felt like I lived here in my past life. I don't know if I was Louis XIV or Marie Antoinette or a lowly groundskeeper. I don't care, but I know that I lived here. Feeling. that's it for a beautiful and magnificent day here in Palace of Versailles. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I loved every minute of it when I was there. Of course, I loved traveling, exploring cultures and history and art in the country that I'm visiting. It just saddens me that I'm heading back to London today, and of course, it has been a week-long trip here in Paris, and of course, I will definitely be back and explore another parts of France next time. But for now, au revoir and à bientôt.